Hello, how's it going, people? So, in this video, we are going to build a registration form, and as we see on the screen, it's a quite simple one, and it doesn't have many fields. But hopefully, by the end of the tutorial, you'll be able to get how it's built, and then you'll be able to understand the concept behind the registration form, as in like concepts around using states and then using forms in React. Okay, so on this registration form that we have on the screen, we have basic title, which is the registration form, and then we have about five fields. And the first field is first name, and then we have a last name. We want an email from the user. We also want a password from the user. Now, in the real world, I think it's going to be a confirmed password part, but we just want to keep this simple. So let's just let's just keep it as one password part, and then leave the confirm password part for another part. Okay, so let's test the form. We have the email as johndoe@gmail.com. We have first name as John and last name as Doe, rightly so. And then we have the johndoe@gmail. Well, we've already gone that before, through that over that before. We've already gone through that already. So we have a password as well, as we entered 1 2 3 4 5 ABCD. You can add any string really, but we did this way. That's the overview of the registration form that we are about to build. All right, so let's take a look at the code, shall we? So this is the project structure. So these are the folders and the files that we are using in this project. And this project was initialized and was created using Vite. So here we have sign up app, which is the project folder name, and then we have a front end which we have in plans to add a backend and a database. So we are going to create an additional folder which is going to hold our Node.js API, Express JS API, I mean, and then the backend code. And then we also there is this node modules here, the public folder, nothing much here. It's the Vite SVG. Uh, okay, this was generated during the build, during the creation of this project. And then the source, inside the source, we have uh, the assets folder, which we are going to use this backdrop SVG. As you saw in the overview, we have a background which has like a blue, purple, or violet-ish background, which is the backdrop. So this is the SVG that is responsible for that. This React SVG was came with the generation of this project. And then we have our components. So let's actually go over this component. Not many, but we have about just two of them. So we built our reusable button. The name, we have a type of it for it as props, and then we are passing label as in the button label. We have a handle click to handle the click event, which is a function that we pass through here. Now, there is a way you can validate the props. There's a way we can validate all these props, but since we are keeping this simple, we are not going to do props validation. In the best practices, you have to validate the props in a separate video. We are going to discuss that. All right. So we aren't exporting anything much. We have a button element. This is a React fragment shorthand. Yeah. So yeah, this is a button, and the button has a class name, button, and then the button primary. I'll show all these classes to you in the app.css shortly. And then we have the onClick, um, the onClick, which we are passing this handle click onto, which we are assigning this handle click onto. Yeah. And then we are exporting the button. That's basically what we are doing in this button component. And then we have text field. text field the JSX. We have up here our imports, importing React, and on this line we have export default function text field. So we are just defining a component name as text field, and then we have a couple of props here, which is name, type, value, unchanged, which is going to be a function as well, and then placeholder, which is a string. We are going to use that placeholder in this. All right, so in this functional component, we are returning uh, this element, which is a div element, and a class name, which is input wrapper. Once again, we are going to look at it in the app.css file very soon. And then we are going to look, all right, let me just split this and open part of app CSS here. Um, app.css, right there, here we go. Um, so the input wrapper, and let's do a quick search for it, find it. Okay, so this is the input wrapper. We are setting the height of 4 rem units, and then we have an auto width of auto. We didn't specify the width because I just plan to use whatever the parent container or the parent element is. We are going to assign that same width to it, so it's going to expand to fill that width. And then we have a border of we have a border here of 2px solid, and then we defined a variable, a CSS variable here, which is sa-gray-100, which we have in index.css. Yeah. Okay, so if you take a look here, we defined a couple of colors here, variables, which are the colors that we are going to use in the project. Okay, back to the app.css part. Yeah, and then we have a border radius of 0.4 rem units, and then margin at the bottom, which is 1 rem unit. So if you take a look at the form, you will be able to see the spaces in between the elements, spaced out nicely all across. All right. And in the inputs part, we have autocomplete as off. So whenever whenever you are entering these details into an input box, where how it suggests to you what to like an autocomplete, just as the name suggests. We are turning it off so that it doesn't suggest anything. At least we don't need it in this project. So yeah, and then there's a name attribute here, and we are assigning to this prop, and then the type here equals to type, and then unchanged to this unchanged function. We have this value also, which is an HTML attribute from this inputs field, and then we are assigning this value here, and then the placeholder to which we are assigning here on the line. All right. So basically, that's what all that our component do. This component does. Okay, so we have a little style also uh, for the input, so for the input element, and yeah, we selected it here. So input, if you recall, it's in this input wrapper, and it's a child of the input wrapper. It's actually the only child of the input wrapper component. Input wrapper, sorry, input wrapper element. Okay, so we have a height of 2 rem units, and then we are setting the width to this outcome, which is we to calculate the 100% value of the 100% width of its parent element, and then subtract 2 rem units, which this 2 rem unit is a the 2 rem unit is the pattern around the input element. Okay, and so the font size is also 1.5 rem units, and then border as 0. Because we are just using our border, we set the border for this input wrapper. If you look at it here, we set the border for it as 2 px, so 2 pixels. So we don't need another or extra border for the input element. So then we have a color of black. So and the background, a background color of transparent. So we don't need any color for the background of the input. All right, so that's what we have in this comments. So let's take a look at how we are using the components in the other pages. So I have a folder here called pages, and this is where we are going to store. We are going to create all the pages for the entire project. But in this case, we only want to see the registration form, and so that's the only page we have here. Okay, so in pages registration form, up here we are doing a normal imports, and then uh, we define the name, we declare the name of the function, and then the export statements also, and then in here we have the state. This is the state of the form. There are other ways of doing this. Some you might have seen others define the different states for the different fields, like as in for example, const, const let's say first name is going and the function as set first name. Sorry, the function as first name use states. So you initialize that value to a blank string or an empty string. All right, so you might have seen this done elsewhere. It's also not wrong, but I prefer this approach. I think it's cleaner. I think it makes more sense to me. So yeah, there's no wrong way of doing it. So this, if you look at this, yeah, that means you are going to last name again. You are going to this line and then define a last name and then set the set function and then they declare again. So it's a hell lot of work for me. So yeah. All right, so we keep it this way. We on this line we have this first name from the form, the first name, and we initialize the value to an empty string. Last name initial value is going to be empty string. Email same, and then password, if password as well same. All right, so we also have a handle change function here. This is going to handle the changes here. Well, this is going to be the function that we assign to the unchanged attributes on the input. If you recall, when you go to the text field, you see this unchanged prop. So this is an object. We have we declared a variable which is obj equals the form. This form is this we are referring to this form here. We are just assigning it to this temporary variable and to hold it to perform this operation here. And so we are with this variable we are just accessing the value of this event. We are using this event, this we are using to access the name attribute of the current, to access the current input field, the current input attribute, which is the name. And so this input, this e.target.name It's either going to give us first name, last name, email, or password. So then we use it to access this form object, and we use it to access the field, and then assign the new value, which is e.target.value, which is used to grab the values from the input field and then assign it to the key, the key, assign that value to the key part of this object. And then on this line, we are simply setting form, the form to this object. Yeah, the changes that may have taken place. And then we have a handle submit here. This is used to submit our form values to be processed. So when you are done filling the form, you click on the submit button, and this is the function it calls. Yeah. All right. So either prevent default is simply used is used to prevent the page from reloading as the film is submitted. And this on this line, you just log in this form values to see what's changed or what the final value is into the console. All right, and then we are just setting all of these keys, all of this. We are setting the object, this object field to empty to the, and then on this line set form. This set form has was declared here, so we are using it to update the state. And so we are updating the state of the form and setting the first name to empty string, last name to empty string, email to empty string, password to empty string. And in a sense, what we are doing is just clearing all the values from the field and then making them empty. So, and then we have the form element here, and the attribute as on submit, which we are assigning this handle submit function to. We Yeah, this is it. This is the handle submit function. Right now we are not doing much in it. We are not submitting the values anywhere. We are just going to log the values here and take a look. All right, so we have a form content div, and we also have a form header. This is the header that yeah, this is the header tag, the header element, and in it we have a label, and then in between a child of this label is span. And this span, the purpose of it is to make this form title appear bolder than this registration. Okay, so let's take a look at form header, styling here. So this is the form header title, the styles, sorry. So we have a font size of 2.2 rm units, and then we apply the padding of 0.7 rem unit, and then a shorthand for the right and then the left as 0. And then we have a border bottom of 1 pixel solid, um, solid, and then we are using this variable that we spoke about earlier. Here we're using this variable here. Let's take a look at it once again. Index.css. Okay, here they are. So this is the kind of gray we want. So we defined it here in this CSS file. Okay. Back to app.css. We have the form header span. This is this uh, inside the span we have the font weight as 600, and then sorry, we are selecting the span element, the span child of this this form header, and then we are setting the font weight as 600, which is here, as this is bigger than the usual one, and this is bigger than this registration. All right. Okay. So in the following lines, we also have the text field components that we are using. We defined has been defined in the components folder. The- Then so the first one, which is the first name, it has a type of text, and then the name of the field as first name. We have an unchanged having the this function as handle change that has been defined up here also. Yeah, is to handle whenever the user types in a value, it calls this function and then sets updates the states in here. All right. And then we have a placeholder here. We have on the next line another text field of type text, and then we have name attributes as last name, and the value is last name. We have unchanged, same again here, and then placeholder as last name. And then on this line we have email. So the text field has a type of email, and then the name as email. It doesn't matter. You can also make it as text. You can also set it as text here, and then when you're doing a validation, you validate it. Well, with this entire code, with this entire form, we are going to do a validation separately in another video. So yeah, you stay tuned to this channel. And then we have an unchanged event here. We have uh, in here, and then there's a placeholder, and then on the last input field we have type of password, the name as password. You can also make it as text, and then you control it in JavaScript. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So there is an unchanged. There's an unchanged here to just to listen. Handler. The handler also here as handle change. There's a placeholder as password. And then the final line, we have a button, which is which has the style, uh, yeah, which has this style. And so in the button, we applied some margin zero point 0.5 rem units on the top, and then on the right we have 0, and then on the bottom we applied point zero point 0.5 rem units again, and yeah, on the left it's going to use this value as 0. And I think that's it for the registration components. Yeah, if there's anything that I forgot or you didn't understand, please let me know in the comment section. And yeah, so next we're going to take a look at the app. All right, so